Hey everyone, I'm Reid. Welcome to the channel. We all know that there's a lot of misinformation floating around these days, especially when it comes to executive orders, bills, and other government documents. So, I'm here to cut through the noise and give you the real deal, straight from the horse's mouth. No spin, no fluff, just the facts as they're written. Today, we're diving back into the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, Title I, Committee on Agriculture, Subtitle B, Investment in Rural America. And I'll be reading it exactly as it is written. So, grab your coffee, sit back, and let's get some truth into your day. This bill was introduced on May 20th, 2025 by Representative Jody C. Arrington under President Donald Trump's second term. J. Repayment of marketing loans. Section 1204 of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9034 is amended. 1. In subsection B. A. By redesignating paragraph 1 as subparagraph A and indenting appropriately. B. In the matter preceding subparagraph A, as so redesignated, by striking the Secretary and inserting the following. 1. In general, the Secretary, and C. By striking paragraph 2 and inserting the following. B1. In the case of long grain rice and medium grain rice, the prevailing world market price for the commodity, as determined and adjusted by the Secretary in accordance with this section. Or 2. In the case of upland cotton, the lowest prevailing world market price for the commodity, as determined and adjusted by the Secretary in accordance with this section, during the 30-day period following the day on which the producer repays the marketing assistance loan. 2. Refund for upland cotton. In the case of a repayment for a marketing assistance loan for upland cotton at a rate described in paragraph 1B2, the Secretary shall provide to the producer a refund, if any, in an amount equal to the difference between the lowest prevailing world market price described in that paragraph and the repayment amount. 2. In subsection C. A. By striking the period at the end and inserting, and B. By striking at the loan rate and inserting the following. A rate that is the lesser of 1. The loan rate, and C. By adding at the end the following. 2. The prevailing world market price for the commodity as determined and adjusted by the Secretary in accordance with this section. 3. In subsection D. A. In paragraph 1 by striking and medium grain rice and inserting medium grain rice and extra long staple cotton. B. By redesignating paragraphs 1 and 2 as subparagraphs A and B, respectively, and indenting appropriately. C. In the matter preceding subparagraph A, as so redesignated, by striking, for purposes, and inserting the following. 1. In general, for purposes. And D. By adding at the end the following. 2. Upland cotton. In the case of upland cotton, for any period when price quotations for middling M 13/32 an inch cotton are available, the formula under paragraph 1A shall be based on the average of the 3 lowest price growths that are quoted. And 4. In subsection E. A. In the subsection heading, by inserting extra long staple cotton after upland cotton. B. In paragraph 2(1). In the paragraph heading, by striking cotton and inserting upland cotton. And 2. In subparagraph B, in the matter preceding clause 1, by striking 2024 and inserting 2032. C. By redesignating paragraph 3 as paragraph 4. And D. by inserting after paragraph 2 the following. 3. Extra long staple cotton. The prevailing world market price for extra long staple cotton determined under subsection D. A. Shall be adjusted to United States quality and location, with the adjustment to include the average costs to market the commodity, including average transportation costs, as determined by the Secretary. And B. May be further adjusted during the period beginning on the date of enactment of this paragraph and ending on July 31st, 2032, if the Secretary determines the adjustment is necessary. 1. To minimize potential loan forfeitures. 2. To minimize the accumulation of stocks of extra-long staple cotton by the federal government. 3. To ensure that extra-long staple cotton produced in the United States can be marketed freely and competitively. And 4. To ensure an appropriate transition between current crop and forward crop price quotations, except that the Secretary may use forward crop price quotations prior to July 31st of a marketing year only if 1. There are insufficient current crop price quotations, and 2. The forward crop price quotation is the lowest such quotation available. K. Economic Adjustment Assistance for Textile Mills. Section 1207(c) of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9037 (c) is amended by striking paragraph 2 and inserting the following. 2. Value of assistance. The value of the assistance provided under paragraph 1 shall be A. For the period beginning on August 1st, 2013 and ending on July 31st, 2025, 3 cents per pound, and B. Beginning on August 1st, 2025, 5 cents per pound. L. Sugar Program Updates. 1. Loan Rate Modifications. Section 156 of the Federal Agriculture Improvement and Reform Act of 1996 7 U.S.C. 7272 is amended. A. In subsection A. 1. In paragraph 4 by striking and at the end. 2. In paragraph 5 by striking 2023 crop years and inserting 2024 crop years and 3. By adding at the end the following. 6. 24.00 cents per pound for raw cane sugar for each of the 2025 through 2031 crop years. B. In subsection B. 1. In paragraph 1 by striking and at the end. 2. In paragraph 2 by striking 2023 crop years and inserting 2024 crop years, and 3. By adding at the end the following. 3. A rate that is equal to 136.55% of the loan rate per pound of raw cane sugar under subsection A. 6. For each of the 2025 through 2031 crop years, and C. In subsection 1 by striking 2023 and inserting 2031. 2. Adjustments to Commodity Credit Corporation storage rates. Section 167 of the Federal Agriculture Improvement and Reform Act of 1996 7 U.S.C. 7287 is amended. A. By striking subsection A and inserting the following. A. In general, the Commodity Credit Corporation shall establish rates for the storage of forfeited sugar in an amount that is not less than 1. In the case of refined sugar, 34 cents per hundredweight per month, and 2. In the case of raw cane sugar, 27 cents per hundredweight per month, and B. In subsection B. 1. In the subsection heading, by striking subsequent and inserting prior, and 2. By striking and subsequent and inserting through 2024. 3. Modernizing beet sugar allotments. A. Sugar estimates, Section 359B(a)(1) of the Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1938, 7 U.S.C. 1359 (bb)(a)(1) is amended by striking 2023 and inserting 2031. B. Allocation TO processors, Section 359CG2 of the Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1938, 7 U.S.C. 1359 CC-G2 is amended. 1. By striking in the case and inserting the following. A. In general, except as provided in subparagraph B in the case. And 2. By adding at the end the following. B. Exception if the Secretary makes an upward adjustment under paragraph 1. A. In adjusting allocations among beet sugar processors, the Secretary shall give priority to beet sugar processors with available sugar. C. Timing of reassignment, Section 359EB2 of the Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1938, 7 U.S.C. 1359 EB2 is amended. 1. By redesignating subparagraphs A through C as clauses 1 through 3, respectively, and indenting appropriately. 2. In the matter preceding clause 1 as so redesignated by striking, if the Secretary determines that a sugar beet processor who has been allocated a share of the beet sugar allotment will be unable to market that allocation, and inserting the following. A. In general, if the Secretary determines that a sugar beet processor who has been allocated a share of the beet sugar allotment for the crop year will be unable to market that allocation. And 3. By adding at the end the following. B. Timing. In carrying out subparagraph A, the Secretary shall 1. Make an initial determination following the publication of the World Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimates in this subparagraph referred to as WASD, approved by the World Agricultural Outlook Board for the month of January that is applicable to the crop year for which a determination under subparagraph A is made. And 2. Provide for an initial reassignment under subparagraph A1 not later than 30 days after the date of the announcement of such WASD. 4. Reallocations of tariff rate quota shortfall, Section 359K of the Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1938, 7 U.S.C. 1359 KK is amended by adding at the end the following. C. Reallocation. 1. Initial reallocation. Subject to paragraph 3, following the establishment of the tariff rate quotas under subsection A, for a quota year, the Secretary shall A. Determine which countries do not intend to fulfill their allocation for the quota year, and B. Reallocate any forecasted shortfall in the fulfillment of the tariff rate quotas as soon as practicable. 2. Subsequent reallocation. Subject to paragraph 3, not later than March 1st of a quota year, the Secretary shall reallocate any additional forecasted shortfall in the fulfillment of the tariff rate quotas for raw cane sugar established under subsection A1 for that quota year. 3. Cessation of effectiveness. Paragraphs 1 and 2 shall cease to be in effect if A. The agreement suspending the countervailing duty investigation on sugar from Mexico, signed December 19, 2014, is terminated, and B. No countervailing duty order under Subtitle A of Title 7 of the Tariff Act of 1939 U.S.C. 1671 et sec. is in effect with respect to sugar from Mexico. D. Refined sugar. 1. Definition of domestic sugar industry. In this subsection, the term domestic sugar industry means domestic. A. Sugar beet producers and processors. B. Producers and processors of sugarcane. and C. Refiners of raw cane sugar. 2. Study required. A. In general, not later than 180 days after the date of enactment of this subsection, the Secretary shall conduct study on whether the establishment of additional terms and conditions with respect to refined sugar imports is necessary and appropriate. B. Elements. In conducting the study under subparagraph A, the Secretary shall examine the following. 1. The need for 1. Defining refined sugar as having a minimum polarization of 99.8 degrees or higher. 2. Establishing a standard for color or reflectance-based units for refined sugar, such as those utilized by the International Commission of Uniform Methods of Sugar Analysis. 3. Prescribing specifications for packaging type for refined sugar. 4. Prescribing specifications for transportation modes for refined sugar. 5. Requiring affidavits or other evidence that sugar imported as refined sugar will not undergo further refining in the United States. 6. Prescribing appropriate terms and conditions to avoid unlawful sugar imports. And 7. Establishing other definitions, terms and conditions, or other requirements. 2. The potential impact of modifications described in each of subclauses 1 through 7 of Clause 1 on the domestic sugar industry. 3. Whether based on the needs described in Clause 1 and the impact described in Clause 2, the establishment of additional terms and conditions is appropriate. C. Consultation. In conducting the study under subparagraph A, the Secretary shall consult with representatives of the domestic sugar industry and users of refined sugar. D. Report, not later than 1 year after the date of enactment of this subsection, the Secretary shall submit to the Committee on Agriculture of the House of Representatives and the Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry of the Senate a report that describes the findings of the study conducted under subparagraph A. 3. Establishment of additional terms and conditions permitted. A. In general, based on the findings in the report submitted under paragraph 2D, and after providing notice to the Committee on Agriculture of the House of Representatives and the Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry of the Senate, the Secretary may issue regulations in accordance with subparagraph B to establish additional terms and conditions with respect to refined sugar imports that are necessary and appropriate. B. Promulgation of regulations. The Secretary may issue regulations under subparagraph A if the regulations 1. Do not have an adverse impact on the domestic sugar industry, and 2. Are consistent with the requirements of this part, Section 156 of the Federal Agriculture Improvement and Reform Act of 1996 7 U.S.C. 7272, and obligations under international trade agreements that have been approved by Congress. 5. Clarification of tariff rate quota adjustments, Section 359 KB1 of the Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1938 7 U.S.C. 1359, KKB1, is amended in the matter preceding subparagraph A by striking, if there is an inserting, for the sole purpose of responding directly to and 6. Period of effectiveness, Section 359L. A of the Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1938 7 U.S.C. 1359, LL.A. is amended by striking 2023 and inserting 2031. M. Dairy Policy Updates. 1. Dairy Margin Coverage Production History. A. Definition. Section 1401(8) of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9051, 8 is amended by striking when the participating dairy operation first registers to participate in dairy margin coverage. B. Production history of participating dairy operations. Section 1405 of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9055 is amended. 1. by amending subsection A to read as follows. A. Production history, except as provided in subsection B. The production history of a dairy operation for dairy margin coverage is equal to the highest annual milk marketings of the participating dairy operation during any one of the 2021, 2022, or 2023 calendar years. And 2. By amending subsection B to read as follows. B. Election by new dairy operations. In the case of a participating dairy operation that has been in operation for less than a year, the participating dairy operation shall elect one of the following methods for the Secretary to determine the production history of the participating dairy operation. 1. The volume of the actual milk marketings for the months the participating dairy operation has been in operation extrapolated to a yearly amount. 2. An estimate of the actual milk marketings of the participating dairy operation based on the herd size of the participating dairy operation relative to the national rolling herd average data published by the Secretary. 2. Dairy margin coverage payments. Section 1406, A1C of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9056, A1C is amended by striking 5 million and inserting 6 million, each place it appears. 3. Premiums for dairy margins. A. Tier 1, Section 1407, B of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9057, B is amended. 1. In the heading, by striking 5 million and inserting 6 million, and 2. In paragraph 1, by striking 5 million and inserting 6 million. B. Tier 2, Section 1407, C of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9057, C is amended. 1. In the heading, by striking 5 million and inserting 6 million. And 2. In paragraph 1, by striking 5 million and inserting 6 million. C. Premium discounts. Section 1407G of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9057, G is amended. 1. In paragraph 1. 1. By striking 2019 through 2023 and inserting 2026 through 2031. And 2. By striking January 2019 and inserting January 2026. And 2. In paragraph 2, by striking 2023, each place it appears, and inserting 2031. 4. Duration. Section 1409 of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9059 is amended by striking 2025 and inserting 2031. N. Suspension of Permanent Price Support Authority. Section 1602 of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9092 is amended by striking 2023, each place it appears, and inserting 2031. O. Implementation. Section 1614C of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9097, C, is amended by adding at the end the following. 5. Fiscal year 2025 reconciliation. The Secretary shall make available to the Farm Service Agency to carry out Section 10101 of the Act titled An Act to Provide for Reconciliation pursuant to Title II of House Concurrent Resolution 14 and the amendments made by that section, $50 million, to remain available until expended, of which A. Not less than $5 million shall be used to carry out paragraphs 3 and 4 of subsection B. B. $3 million shall be used for activities described in paragraph 3A of this subsection. C. $3 million shall be used for activities described in paragraph 3B of this subsection. And D. $10 million shall be used to 1. Carry out mandatory surveys of dairy production cost and product yield information to be reported by manufacturers required to report under Section 273 of the Agricultural Marketing Act of 1946, 7 U.S.C. 1637. B. For all products processed in the same facility or facilities. And 2. Publish the results of such surveys biennially. P. Livestock Safety Net Updates. 1. In general, Section 1501B of the Agricultural Act of 2014, 7 U.S.C. 9081, B is amended. A. By amending paragraph 2 to read as follows. 2. Payment rates. A. Losses due to predation. Indemnity payments to an eligible producer on a farm under paragraph 1. A. Shall be made at a rate of 100% of the market value of the affected livestock on the applicable date, as determined by the Secretary. B. Losses due to adverse weather or disease. Indemnity payments to an eligible producer on a farm under subparagraph B or C of paragraph 1 shall be made at a rate of 75% of the market value of the affected livestock on the applicable date, as determined by the Secretary. C. Determination of market value. In determining the market value described in subparagraphs A and B, the Secretary may consider the ability of eligible producers to document regional price premiums for affected livestock that exceed the national average market price for those livestock. D. Applicable date defined. In this paragraph, the term applicable date means with respect to livestock as applicable 1. The day before the date of death of the livestock, or 2. The day before the date of the event that caused the harm to the livestock that resulted in a reduced sale price. And B. By adding at the end the following. 5. Additional payment for unborn livestock. A. In general, in the case of unborn livestock death losses incurred on or after January 1st, 2024, the Secretary shall make an additional payment to eligible producers on farms that have incurred such losses in excess of the normal mortality due to a condition specified in paragraph 1. B. Payment rate. Additional payments under subparagraph A shall be made at a rate 1. Determined by the Secretary, and 2. Less than or equal to 85% of the payment rate established with respect to the lowest weight class of the livestock, as determined by the Secretary, acting through the administrator of the Farm Service Agency. C. Payment amount. The amount of a payment to an eligible producer that has incurred unborn livestock death losses shall be equal to the payment rate determined under subparagraph B multiplied, in the case of livestock described in 1. Subparagraph A, B, or F of subsection A4 by 1. 2. Subparagraph D of such subsection by 2. 3. Subparagraph E of such subsection by 12, and 4. Subparagraph G of such subsection by the average number of birthed animals for one gestation cycle for the species of each such livestock, as determined by the Secretary. D. Unborn livestock death losses defined. In this paragraph, the term unborn livestock death losses means losses of any livestock described in subparagraph A, B, D, E, F, or G of subsection A4 that was gestating on the date of the death of the livestock. 2. Livestock Forage Disaster Program, Section 1501, C. 3D21 of the Agricultural Act of 2014, 7 U.S.C. 9081. C. 3D21 is amended. A. By striking 1 monthly payment and inserting 2 monthly payments, and B. By striking county for at least 8 consecutive and inserting the following: county for not less than AA 4 consecutive weeks during the normal grazing period for the county, as determined by the Secretary, shall be eligible to receive assistance under this paragraph in an amount equal to 1 monthly payment using the monthly payment rate determined under subparagraph B, or BB, any of the 7 of the previous 8 consecutive. 3. Emergency assistance for livestock, honeybees, and farm-raised fish, Section 1501D of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9081, D, is amended by adding at the end the following. 5. Assistance for losses due to bird depredation. A. Payments. Eligible producers on a farm of farm-raised fish, including fish grown as food for human consumption, shall be eligible to receive payments under this subsection to aid in the reduction of losses due to piscivorous birds. B. Payment rate. 1. In general, the payment rate for payments under subparagraph B shall be determined by the Secretary, taking into account 1. Costs associated with the deterrence of piscivorous birds. 2. The value of lost fish and revenue due to bird depredation. And 3. Costs associated with disease, loss from bird depredation. 2. Minimum rate. The payment rate for payments under subparagraph B shall be not less than $600 per acre of farm-raised fish. C. Payment amount. The amount of a payment under subparagraph B shall be the product obtained by multiplying 1. The applicable payment rate under subparagraph C, and 2. 85% of the total number of acres of farm-raised fish farms that the eligible producer has in production for the calendar year. 4. Tree Assistance Program, Section 1501. E of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9081, E, is amended. A. In paragraph 2B, by striking 15% adjusted for normal mortality and inserting normal mortality. And B in paragraph 3. 1. In subparagraph A1, by striking 15% mortality adjusted for normal mortality and inserting normal mortality. And 2. In subparagraph B. 1. By striking 50 and inserting 65. And 2. By striking 15% damage or mortality adjusted for normal tree damage and mortality, and inserting normal tree damage or mortality. Q. Emergency assistance for honeybees. In determining honeybee colony losses eligible for assistance under Section 1501D of the Agricultural Act of 2014 7 U.S.C. 9081, D, the Secretary shall utilize a normal mortality rate of 15%. R. Beginning farmer and rancher benefit. 1. Definitions. A. In general, Section 502B of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1502B is amended in paragraph 3 by striking 5 and inserting 10. B. Conforming amendment, Section 522C7 of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1522C7 is amended by striking subparagraph F. 2. Increase in assistance, Section 508E of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1508E is amended by adding at the end the following paragraph. 9. Additional support. A. In general, notwithstanding any other provision of this subsection regarding payment of a portion of premiums, a beginning farmer or rancher shall receive premium assistance, that is, 1. The number of percentage points specified in subparagraph B greater than the premium assistance that would otherwise be available under paragraphs 2, except for subparagraph A of that paragraph 5, 6, and 7 for the applicable policy, plan of insurance, and coverage level selected by the beginning farmer or rancher. Plus 2. Any increase otherwise made available under this subsection. B. Percentage points adjustments. The percentage points referred to in subparagraph A1 are the following. 1. For each of the first and second reinsurance years that a beginning farmer or rancher participates as a beginning farmer or rancher in the applicable policy or plan of insurance, 5 percentage points. 2. For the third reinsurance year that a beginning farmer or rancher participates as a beginning farmer or rancher in the applicable policy or plan of insurance, 3 percentage points. 3. For the fourth reinsurance year that a beginning farmer or rancher participates as a beginning farmer or rancher in the applicable policy or plan of insurance, 1 percentage point. S. Area-based crop insurance coverage and affordability. 1. Coverage level, Section 508C, 4 of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1508, C. 4 is amended. A. By amending subparagraph A2 to read as follows. 2. May be purchased at any level not to exceed. 1. In the case of the individual yield or revenue coverage, 85%. 2. In the case of individual yield or revenue coverage aggregated across multiple commodities, 90%. And 3. In the case of area yield or revenue coverage as determined by the corporation, 95%. And B. In subparagraph C. 1. In clause 2, by striking 14 and inserting 10. And 2. In clause 3(1), by striking 86 and inserting 90. 2. Premium cost share, Section 508E2H1 of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1508, E2H1, is amended by striking 65 and inserting 80. T. Premium support. Section 508E2 of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1508, E2, is amended. 1. In subparagraph C1, by striking 64 and inserting 69. 2. In subparagraph D1, by striking 59 and inserting 64. 3. In subparagraph E1, by striking 55 and inserting 60. 4. In subparagraph F1, by striking 48 and inserting 51. And 5. In subparagraph G1, by striking 38 and inserting 41. U. Administrative and operating expense adjustments. Section 508K of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1508, K, is amended by adding at the end the following. 10. Additional expenses. A. In general, beginning with the 2026 reinsurance year and for each reinsurance year thereafter, in addition to the terms and conditions of the standard reinsurance agreement, to cover additional expenses for loss adjustment procedures, the corporation shall pay an additional administrative and operating expense subsidy to approved insurance providers for eligible contracts. B. Payment amount. In case of an eligible contract, the payment to an approved insurance provider required under subparagraph A shall be the amount equal to 6% of the net book premium. C. Definitions in this paragraph. 1. Eligible state. The term eligible state means a state 1. Identified in State Group 2 or State Group 3 as defined in the Standard Reinsurance Agreement for reinsurance year 2026. And 2. In which, with respect to an insurance year, the loss ratio for eligible contracts is greater than 120% of the total net book premium written by all approved insurance providers. 2. Eligible contracts. The term eligible contract. 1. means a crop insurance contract entered into by an approved insurance provider in an eligible state, and 2. Does not include a contract for AA. Catastrophic risk protection under subsection B. BB. An area-based plan of insurance or similar plan of insurance as determined by the corporation, or CC. A policy under which an approved insurance provider does not incur loss adjustment expenses as determined by the corporation. 11. Specialty crops. A. Minimum reimbursement beginning with the 2026 reinsurance year, and for each reinsurance year thereafter, the rate of reimbursement to approved insurance providers and agents for administrative and operating expenses with respect to crop insurance contracts covering agricultural commodities described in Section 101 of Title I of the Specialty Crops Competitiveness Act of 2004 7 U.S.C. 1621 note shall be equal to or greater than the percent that is the greater of the following. 1. 17% of the premium used to define loss ratio. 2. The percent of the premium used to define loss ratio that is otherwise applicable for the reinsurance year under the terms of the standard reinsurance agreement in effect for the reinsurance year. B. Other contracts. In carrying out subparagraph A, the corporation shall not reduce, with respect to any reinsurance year, the amount or the rate of reimbursement to approved insurance providers and agents under the standard reinsurance agreement described in Clause 2 of such subparagraph for administrative and operating expenses with respect to contracts covering agricultural commodities that are not subject to such subparagraph. C. Administration. The requirements of this paragraph and the adjustments made pursuant to this paragraph shall not be considered a renegotiation under paragraph 8A. 12. A and O inflation adjustment. A. In general, subject to subparagraph B, for the 2026 reinsurance year and each reinsurance year thereafter, the corporation shall increase the total administrative and operating expense reimbursements otherwise required under the standard reinsurance agreement. In effect for the reinsurance year, in order to account for inflation, in a manner consistent with the increases provided with respect to the 2011 through 2015 reinsurance years under the enclosure included in Risk Management Agency Bulletin numbered MGR 10007 and dated June 30th, 2010. B. Special Rule for 2026 reinsurance year. The increase under subparagraph A for the 2026 reinsurance year shall not exceed the percentage change for the preceding reinsurance year included in the Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics of the Department of Labor. C. Administration. An increase under subparagraph A. 1. Shall apply with respect to all contracts covering agricultural commodities that were subject to an increase during the period of the 2011 through 2015 reinsurance years under the enclosure referred to in that subparagraph. And 2. Shall not be considered to be a renegotiation of the standard reinsurance agreement for purposes of paragraph 8A. V. Program compliance and integrity. Section 515L2 of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1515 L2 is amended by striking "than" and all that follows through the period at the end and inserting the following: than A. $4 million for each of fiscal years 2009 through 2025 and B. $6 million for fiscal year 2026 and each subsequent fiscal year. W. Reviews compliance and integrity. Section 516B2C1 of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1516 B2C1 is amended by striking each fiscal year and inserting each of fiscal years 2014 through 2025 and $10 million for fiscal year 2026 and each fiscal year thereafter. X. Poultry Insurance Pilot Program. Section 523 of the Federal Crop Insurance Act 7 U.S.C. 1523 is amended by adding at the end the following. J. Poultry Insurance Pilot Program. 1. In general, notwithstanding subsection A, 2, the corporation shall establish a pilot program under which contract poultry growers, including growers of broilers and laying hens, may elect to receive index-based insurance from extreme weather-related risk, resulting in increased utility costs, including costs of natural gas, propane, electricity, water, and other appropriate costs, as determined by the corporation associated with poultry production. 2. Stakeholder engagement. The corporation shall engage with poultry industry stakeholders in establishing the pilot program under paragraph 1. 3. Location. The pilot program established under paragraph 1 shall be conducted in a sufficient number of counties to provide a comprehensive evaluation of the feasibility, effectiveness, and demand among producers in the top poultry producing states, including Alabama, Arkansas, and Mississippi, as determined by the corporation. 4. Approval of policy or plan. Notwithstanding Section 508L, the Board shall approve a policy or plan of insurance based on the pilot program under paragraph 1. A. In accordance with Section 508H and B. Not later than 24 months after the date of enactment of this subsection. And that, my friends, is a wrap on Part 2, the meaty middle of Section 10101. We've sprung from high-speed broadband grants out to every dirt road, waded through clean water projects and wastewater upgrades, peeked at local food processing incentives, and even poke around Farmworker Housing, Renewable Energy grants, and co-op development. Toss in value-added producer support, youth agricultural education, and new reporting rules, and you've got a full-service rural investment buffet. But don't hop away just yet. Part 3 dives into the money behind the magic, the actual funding authorizations, deadlines, and those sneaky transitional provisions that will make or break each program's launch. Will your county get its broadband boost? Can that new processing plant really get built? Tune in for the grand finale of Title I, Committee on Agriculture, Subtitle B, Investment in Rural America. And while you're here, like this video if you learned something new. It helps more curious minds find this content. Comment if you've got questions, thoughts, or just want to say hi. Reid's ears are always open. Share it with your most civically curious friends. Knowledge is better when it hops around. Subscribe for more clear, calm, and no-fluff breakdowns of what's really written in official documents. Until next time, I'm Reid the Rabbit, reminding you to stay sharp, stay civil, and always read the footnotes.